Gabriel Ruelas, thank you very much for returning to theboxingbar.com and welcome.
You're welcome, Albert. Thank you for having me on again.
And Gabriel, you've gone through a whole lot of topics on theboxingbar.com. Let's go ahead and start with the topic of what was it like for you to know that you were a Mexican boxer every time you went into the ring? How did you feel pride-wise?
Gosh, pride-wise, man, I mean, I still feel such respect for the fighters, the champions that came before me. You know, just being Mexican and being in this country and winning a world title for a country where you don't live in, that you had to leave as a kid. I mean, it's more of an accomplishment. And it's just great to be up there. It doesn't really matter that I'm behind these other legends or fighters. The fact that I did it, that my brother did it, that we did it, and that we are from Mexico, it's such a great feeling. Great.
And you know what's funny is that I remember you were talking so vividly about going up and milking the cows and again the eggs from the chickens and eating them there. When you went up to go up the hills to milk cows, and you'd bring up all these stories. And I remember at one point during our interview, you said that you would go up to the mountains, and I asked you, what did it feel like when you were up on a mountain looking down at the world? What did you feel at that moment? And you kind of just stayed and you're like, man, gosh, And I just remember thinking to myself, man, knowing that you've gone through all this in your life, I'm sure you would do anything to go back and be able to look down from a mountain and look at the world and how beautiful it really is, and forget about everything that's going on in life.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, I mean, sometimes I tell my wife, I'm like, you know what? Gosh, I say, maybe we should just go back to Mexico. We don't have all that stress of that we have here, that our kids are growing up and, once they fly the nest, then you have some pressure in your head because then you worry about them, Once they're able to, the one that's going to turn 18 now, right after when he turns 18, like I'm having kind of like a hard time with him now because, now he feels like, he can do whatever he wants. And my God, it's just so many, it's just normal. It's just, it just goes, it goes by so fast, man. When you're a kid, you want to grow up fast. You think that it'll take forever. But then, when you get to my age, I'm 42, but I'm going to be 42, but I have had like a longer life than 42 because of the experiences that I've lived, that I've gone through. So I'm like, oh my God, and I just tell my wife, I said, what are we going to do when my kids leave? I mean, we're, como los changos, like the monkeys picking fishes or something, piojos or which one's head. And
don't look at it like that, man.
No, it's just we just laugh.
Yeah.
This morning because, my kid, they both go to school. And, my older son, he's got into a band now that he's gonna be like going on tour with them. And
yeah, congratulations to him. I know on Facebook you've been putting up that he's been doing good musically, and that's an awesome thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so. I think that's realized right now.
To you should look at that like that's your title now. You're not boxing no more, but that should be your title. That you brought up your kid to do something like that he loves, and he's being successful.
I am proud of them. I am proud of them. I am proud of them. But I just the music business, man, is just.
It's like the boxing business. It's pretty rough.
I think it's rough in a way because. I think that there's a lot of drugs. I have a lot of friends that are in the music business, and just when you have kids that are going to be around all that stuff, that that you hope that they make the right decision. Like I told my son, my 18-year-old, I said, you know what, Diego, when he turned 18, he's so excited because he's going to be 18 and that he feels like he's going to be able to do what he wants. I said, you know what, legally, you're going to be held responsible for your actions. I said, you're not going to like that. Before they would come to your parents. Now they're not going to. So, but then again, now, we want you to get a job. We want you to do this, or you're going to go to school, or whatever it is that you do. you have to put money aside for all your, it's fun, but it's not fun. So.
But Gabriel, are you putting in your mind how you were, and you're thinking that your son's going to be the same way you were thinking at that time, or are you just being paranoid, thinking that maybe he is doing maybe what you used to do back at that age, where he's at right now?
It's just I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you about not just my son, but I mean most kids.
Yeah, most kids.
Like here in the United States or maybe in Mexico too.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I feel that when you grow up with everything, in a way you grew up spoiled because you grew up with it. So how can you want something when you have something? How can you wish something when you already have it? Here in this country, people get food stamps. People get everything. People get. Even the poor they get stuff. Even the poor. I see Albert. Maybe a lot of people won't understand what I'm saying because they have no idea where. I come from like long time ago. I'm talking about like 100 years ago. Where we would go up to the mountains and pray to God to give us rain so we would have something to eat.
Wow.
And it wasn't just because we didn't have money. Maybe even if we had money, there was no stores. There was nothing where we could buy that stuff from. But my God, I grew up very different than a lot of people. Like I said, my grandma, I call her my grandma, who used to live with us, my wife's grandma. I used to always be having self-confrontations to see who had it worse. And she passed away, about a year ago. She was 91 years old. And, and most of the time I talked her out because, we would say, okay, well, did you have school? No. I'm like, okay, see, why I didn't have school. I didn't do this. I'm like, did you have a bathroom? And she was, yeah, well, I had a little bathhouse. I'm like, sorry, I had a river. I'm like, so, it was great, but, I'm proud to have lived that kind of life because only that way I think you can appreciate what people have here, or even in the.
Unlike today, where everything that's bad nowadays is good.
Yeah.
No matter how we see it. I remember when I was a kid before. When I was a teenager or a little kid, I remember thinking. I used to watch wrestling. How I love boxing right now, that's how I loved wrestling. And I remember people cheered the good guys, booed the bad guys. That's just how it was. Nowadays, people cheer what's evil, what's bad. People have tattoos all over their bodies, from head to toe, by the age of 18. People have piercings and everything's cool. The worst thing, what we would have thought was voodoo back then, now is a cool thing. They're trying to legalize marijuana, drugs, everything's so different. So I know what you're saying, too. Don't get me wrong.
Technology, people work so much because, people live longer now because technology, we're trying to find like there's a fountain of youth, but, it's a lot of stress, and people are just trying to do every day. I'm sure people are trying to find that pill, that something that will keep you younger looking, where, unfortunately, I don't think you will ever find it, but, it's,
Yeah, crazy life.
It's crazy, but you guys are the best that you can, and I'm pretty happy now, and, pretty happy. But it took me a long time to get here, and, obviously, it was great things that my parents did for bringing me out here.
Well, the truth is, Gabriel, I think God had a plan for you, and I think, it kind of showed in him giving you the gift of becoming a world champion. That, how many people can really say they've been a world champion in their life? And now you found God yourself, and going to service all the time, and now you're giving back to Him. It took you that long from then to now, where you're starting to do it, to understand that, and I'm glad you have. And every time I see you say something about God, or I always smile because I might not always respond, but I always smile because I say, I'm glad he's found his place. He's found his happy place, and I'm glad you finally realized it, and he opened your eyes, and you've opened your eyes yourself.
I tell you this, Albert. I mean, I'm someone that grew up thinking, or dreaming, not thinking, but dreaming that I was going to die young, that I was going to make it past 25 years old. And, before that age, with everything that God gave me, I accomplished my dreams, And that's why I guess maybe I gave up on a lot of things. I thought I was going to live in it, but there wasn't that big of hope to keep going, living, even though I have my wife, my kids. I just really thought, man, I have accomplished everything. Wow, I felt sort of like, believe it or not, like bad in a way for praying for my kids or my wife to God, because I felt that, God had given me already so much. God gave me, helped me make my dreams come true. So I felt like I can't ask him for it anymore. I can't ask him how I felt. That was it. But by me finding him, now it's like, just this year, man. Now it's like, now I want to be an old man. I want to get to be an old man. So now I'm learning to to appreciate life more.
Are you understanding by going to church that
yes.
that God puts obstacles in your life and everybody's life? He put a big one on you, as you know, and I'm not going to mention it. You know what I'm talking about, and you had to overcome it somehow, and he was waiting for you to overcome it. You have, and now you're starting to realize it, and now you're starting to open your eyes, and you finally did, and I'm glad you did, amigo, because the last time I talked to you, I was very worried about you, and I was always hoping that you would stay on the right path, and at that time you were 6 months sober. You were.
I couldn't have done it without God, man, without that belief that it's, now, I pray every day, and I'm someone that, supposedly didn't know how to pray, I talk to God every day. If one day goes by, like in the morning, if I don't do that, I just don't feel as good the rest of the day, but it's great, man. It's all working out, and, God had a plan, and it's working out just fine, and now the worries that will come with life, all I do is open my Bible and just pray, and you know what? They eventually they go by. Those problems, they come and they go. They're always going to be here, because they're part of life. Even the problems, because a lot of those problems are teachings, teachings that are given to us. Some of them, they're purposely, I think that are given by God to make us stronger, because I think that He's preparing us for something better.
These obstacles, and I'm glad that you finally, Gabriel, it's good to hear. I could finally hear peace in your voice. And back then, I thought when I talked to you that last time, I was really I was even worried about you. And I was hoping that one day, it would come, and I could finally hear it in your voice, man. And I'm sure a lot of people have told you the same thing.
Thanks, man. So much has happened. I was separated for 4 years. I would come to my house every day and just, take the kids to school. But a lot of times I was, as you know, I became an alcoholic. But I'm going on about a year sober now. I stopped. I just, it's like, I started drinking when I was 35. Obviously, all the stuff that happened because of that. Because what alcoholic started drinking at 35, So, I got into a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, Thank God that I didn't die, but, gosh,
But by alcoholic, would you say that you just had a few beers every day, or was it like one of those where you were like wake up in the morning to the night when you went to sleep?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, unfortunately, I could drink a lot where, at the next day I would never have a hangover, so I would go right back at it, and me being a world champion, going to places, restaurants, the owners of a lot of places, they wouldn't even charge me. They would take care of me, because then they would have customers, there because I was there, just taking pictures and chatting with them, having a great time. But I was just on a path of destruction because I didn't have that peace that I honestly felt that in this lifetime I was never going to find it, Albert. I found it, thank God, man, thank God, and I felt, my God, now, it's like, now I can, I want to set up goals, which I never did before, because, I thought, hey, I'm only going to live till this age, and I better hurry up and accomplish everything. After I did all that, I was like, cool, okay, so now what do I do now, I had to find that forgiveness that I needed. I did. I found it. And my God, I mean, I'll never forget. I know that day when I, how I found it through my book. My book that was written about me. On information that had been held from doctors and from myself and from relatives. From Jimmy's family. And then I found out through this interview in my book, and that, man, that day is just like, like something in me was released. Since then, I want to get old. I want to, something that I never envisioned, I never wanted to, never cared for. I didn't care about dying. I didn't. To me, it was like I embraced death always. That's why I put that tattoo on my arm, shaking my hand with the dead. I mean, it's just, God has shown me so much. I feel like talking to him every day. It's like I feel like I could tell you so many things that have happened since, but gosh, and it's so many things that God has done for me since I became sober. I started in preaching. I preach every day. First thing in the morning, I go outside. I wake up really early. I drink my coffee, and I'm by myself. I'm in the balcony, and I just pray. I pray. I love to pray, and if I don't do it one day, I don't feel as good. And whether it sounds crazy or I don't know how it sounds, but believe me, whatever it is, my partners that I've had, and anything, they just work out, man. They just work out, and I know they don't just work out just because they work out. Somebody.
And Gabriel, I remember the last time we talked, you said you were starting to talk to your wife again after a long separation. How was it that you guys got back together, and how did that come about? And how did you make her believe in you and believe that you were serious about wanting to reconciliate what you had with her and get back together? How did you convince her, and how did she know you were serious?
Well, for one thing, she saw that I was in the path of destruction, and it would hurt her every day, see me, because I would still come to her house and see my kids, but she would see me and smell me with alcohol all the time, and so she was so fearful for me and my kid. One day I called her from where I was, and I said, what, I'm done here, I'm done here with your man, I don't want to drink anymore. And she said to me, well, if I go pick you up, she says, I don't want you leaving again. Are you be able to not drink? Are you be able to live your old life? Of drinking every day, your friends, your life that you've lived on for these last 4 years of this self-destruction. And yes. And I saw her ever since then. Now, like I said, I'm going on about a year sober. I don't even miss a drink. I don't, I really never believe, even though I drink every day, I'm supposed to say I'm an alcoholic, so I'll say it for the rest of my life just because that's the way it is. I'm just like everyone else. But people or someone sees that I did it, that I was able to leave it, that they can do it too, because I did. I have friends that will put tequila or whatever it is in front of me. They offer it to me. Before I used to feel bad for them. I didn't want to throw it away. I would drink it. I would, now I really don't. I'm like, look, you want me to throw it away, then that's fine. You want to give the business to these people, that's fine. But I'm not drinking anymore. And like you couldn't pay me to drink anymore. You couldn't, now because I have found that forgiveness that I wanted, that will to want to live. And that's God. God has, I've always been blessed, which I misunderstood before, because I thought that was luck. It wasn't luck. I was blessed, and I just didn't accept the blessing. I didn't know how. I just felt like everyone in my family, they always told me that I was so lucky because so many instances, things that would happen, and they would just say, "Wow," And now I accept the blessing, and I'm embracing it, and I mean, since I started going to church, I haven't missed the Sunday. I go every Sunday. I go with my 14-year-old. He always says, telling me, "Come on, Dad, I want to go with you." So he'll go with me, but just the two of us. The older one, he doesn't. He did like when he was younger, he did like 5 or 6 years of helping in the church. So he's like, "No, Dad, I don't want to go." So I don't make them. I let them make their own decisions. I hope that they follow it like I do. But I just let them do what they want. I just encourage them to do the right thing, the good thing. Like the older one, I say, you just hope that they do the right thing, that when they're in the house.
And you talk so fondly of your kids once they're married and they're going on their own life and stuff. Are you and your wife, Leslie, are you guys going to be okay at that point? Do you think you're going to stay with a straight mind to be able to, continue on as you are right now?
I think so, but, I tell my wife that she says, "Aren't you sad? Like they're going to be leaving soon, because school and this," and I'm like, they'll probably be here every day,
Have more kids, man.
That's, she says, I was a grandkid.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see, but, God willing, we'll be able to, once they fly the nest, that her and I, we can finally have, our time to go out and travel a little bit, to be on those scooters, the motivators. Have you seen that commercial? The motivators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the last time we talked, Gabriel, I think I asked you the question about there's a lot of boxers that their health is bad, after they retire from boxing, their bones might hurt, their muscles might hurt, they might have, serious injuries or even brain injuries. You brought up that you were starting to forget a lot of things and that you were going to start going through a CAT scan and all that stuff. Have you gone through that, and what were the results, or how are you feeling now?
Well, unfortunately, pretty bad, because it's like, even of this conversation that I'm having with you, I don't know, maybe in an hour, or, I won't remember most of it. I forget, I'm suffering from like short-term memory loss. So, it's like I'm always losing my phone, I'm losing everything, Yeah, it's pretty bad, so, I mean, when I leave the house, I go for walks, and, I'm telling you, I wish that I felt the way I look, because I think, I think I look good, but I disguise, because I don't feel, inside I feel really old, and a lot of things are not working as they used to be, it's like my eyes are, I can see as well. I'm pretty blind.
Did that happen like little by little, or did it just all go from one day to the next where you were?
No, little by little. My memory loss is really affecting me. Like even just yesterday, I went out for a walk, and I told my wife, I said, "You know what? I forgot where I was," and luckily that I had the phone with me. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, and this is someone that was very defensive. In the fight game, I didn't get hit a lot compared. I mean, I got hit a lot, but compared to a lot of fighters.
What do the MRI say, or the CAT scans, or whatever? What do they say? I mean, you're telling me that you're obviously forgetting a lot of stuff, but I mean, do they see any kind of bleeding or excessive bleeding?
They're starting it. I don't think it's bleeding, but they see, I think, swellness in the brain or something like. I don't know. There's some. I don't quite know how to exactly that they're doing. They're studying all the stuff that I'm doing, but most definitely that test that they're doing, is very hard for me to pass them. Like verbal tests or like they're sort of like similar to the tests that they would give us to before a fight to pass the physical. Now I can't pass the neuro. Now I can't pass them. Now I like they'll tell you like a few words and they say, okay, well, repeat those after me, and then you do it, and back and forth. And now I can't do it. I don't remember it. So, or like sometimes I'll tell my wife something, and I'll say to her again after 5 minutes, and then my kids are like, Dad, you already told her that, or I'm like, oh well, or like the other way around. If my wife tells me that, and then my kids will say, well, Mom, you already told him that. And then I'm like, Rodrigo, doesn't matter. I don't remember it. To me, it's new. When we laugh about it, they laugh, because it's funny. But then when you really think about it, it's not funny, man, because, and when I say I don't remember, I don't remember.
And is that painful for you as far as, like, do you get headaches and stuff like that?
Yeah, I get headaches. I started getting headaches more often, We were actually talking about it today, my wife and I. But, yeah, I'm getting more headaches just from not doing anything, just sitting around or walking or whatever it is. I didn't used to have as many headaches as now, and my vision is a lot worse than before. And I'm like, man, I'm only 41.
You still look the exact freaking same. I know you just finished saying that you look your outside looks like like you're in good shape, and it does. I mean, you look like exactly the same. You look like how you used to, 20 years ago or whatever. And you're saying you're saying all this stuff, and it's like I can't calculate it because you look like to be in perfect shape.
Looks like deceiving.
Ricky Funes and we've been going back and forth, and I've been trying to get him on so I can, talk about Goosen's gym and all that with him, but I don't know if he's a little shy or whatever, but, we kind of keep going back and forth about that. What do you remember about him? I know you have stories about him.
Well, this is a kid that was totally was going the wrong path, He was a kid out on the streets just looking for trouble or what trouble that he could get into, and the way I met him, we were boxing in the gym, and our windows were dark.
And you said you were like that too, though.
Yeah, but once I started boxing, I was like, okay, this is it.
You got disciplined, yeah.
Yeah, little by little, but because of boxing, made me want to fight more. But believe me, Ricky, he just was going the wrong path. So, he was right in the box on the windows in the gym and tagging, they call it, and that's how we met him. And now I don't know if you know, but now he's the one that
took over
the box gym now.
Yeah,
he took over. So I'm very proud of him. That's a great story. I told him, I said, now he's training fighters there, and he himself became a fighter. So so that's great. He didn't do it because some guys are better at trainers than or some guys are better teachers than boxers.
Yeah, and what's sad is that he keeps inviting me to go over, and I'm the little guy here, so I'm kind of just like yeah, I'll go over one of these days, and I just haven't gone, but I've been dying to go over there. I've been wanting to go to Van Nuys. I've never been there. I've never been to the Goosen gym, but I've heard all these good stories with, you guys, of course, you and Rafael, with James Toney.
Give me a call. Let me know give me some heads up and.
Yeah, actually, I think I told him that. I go, you know what? Let me know whenever Gabriel goes, or whenever you know that he's going to be there. Let me know, and I hope I can meet him up.
You let me know whenever you come down, and I'll go over there and we'll meet over there.
Absolutely.
I go there every day. Not just to train, but even when I wasn't training, because those are the best restaurants there in that area. And
he told me to go check out Andre Berto. He was training over there for Victor.
Yeah, he's training him. Yeah,
I'm glad you came on here and did this again. Thank you again for being so straight up, man. And I can't wait to meet you, man. I hope I do go to 10 Goosen, and I want to meet you. And
whenever you do, just give me a call. Give me a call. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah. I want to go and get you lunch and everything. And you better tell me where the good spots are here, because I have no idea what I'd be going over there.
We'll have a good time. Just let me know if you did before, and definitely I'll make time. And believe me, even if you went, even if you came by the last minute, Don't matter. Just let me know.
Are you going to go to the fight when Ricky takes Berto against Victor Ortiz?
No, I don't go to fights, man. It's so hard for me, like, even if they give me tickets.
Why is it hard for you to go watch fights?
No, it's just, I don't know. I just don't want to go. I just, maybe I go, I don't like to. I do go to support someone. Like if it's a friend of mine or something, then yeah, I'll go to support him just, for that. But, I've gone to some amateur shows. That's why. But I don't know. I give so much,
Are you pretty much done with boxing?
Yeah, I am. But, who knows, maybe later on, I'll start training more often. Right now I train, people here and there. But, I don't know, we'll see first. Hopefully my health won't deteriorate more.
Well, you know what, Gabriel? Thank you very much for coming on one more time. God bless you, man. And for forever, I've been always, cheering for you since, our last talks, or even since you were a boxer yourself. I'm glad you found God. I'm glad you found peace within yourself. I'm glad you found peace within your family. And that's what comes first, man. And, when I do hit the Goose and Gym, I'm going to give you a call, and I want to see you and actually get to meet you and say hi to you, man. And so we could have lunch together. Thank you very much for returning to theboxingbar.com. Thank you very much for everything that you've done and accomplished. And thank you for being yourself, man. And God bless you, brother.
Most definitely. And likewise to you too, Albert. God bless you.